Before I get into my prepared remarks here, I just want to marvel at the providence of God here for a minute because my preparation for what I was going to say today really just was a very brief conversation with, I think it was with the principal. I said, so what do you want me to talk about? And he said, well, we're a Christian school, so probably something from the Bible. I said, I can do that. And then as I'm sitting here listening to what's already been said, you're going to notice some repetition because there's somebody else in control and he puts everything together. And so there's going to be, so apparently some of what I am going to say, he really wants you to hear it because some of it's already been said once today. All right? Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb, a reward. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Now, I believe this passage from Psalm is actually often misunderstood. When we recite this verse, it is usually to note that children are a blessing, and indeed they are. But what are arrows in the hand of a warrior for? I think the answer to that question is the same reason you came to this school. Now, I don't know each of your stories. I don't know your families that well, a couple of your families, I'm sure. But I know any choice other than the local public school isn't the default. Your parents didn't just let life happen, as too often occurs in families. They actively chose this path for you. Why? Why did they choose that? I think they understood a certain biblical principle. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. You see, arrows in the hands of a warrior are weapons of war. And we are at war, a war for the kingdom of Christ. That same passage in Ephesians goes on to describe putting on the armor of God, the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the boots of the gospel of peace, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and finally the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, which is both offensive and defensive. I believe your parents sent you to the school to equip you with that armor of God because someday you are going to war and you're going to need it. Let's be real, you are going to need it. You know, incidentally, I also just got back from a trip to D.C. Third time I've been there, first time in quite a while. And actually, one of the best parts of the trip wasn't actually even in D.C. We were driving through Pennsylvania, and we just saw a sign for Valley Forge. Wasn't even on our plan. It's like, well, how can we not stop and see Valley Forge? I mean, come on. And I didn't even realize how much they've actually done. So if you haven't been to Valley Forge, I encourage you to go to Valley Forge. It's very impactful. There's a museum and there's a driving tour, and you go and you can see all the different parts of the camp and what they had there. But in one part, they actually have still the original earthen bulwarks that George Washington and his men built roughly 250 years ago. And you know, they have some that are built up nicely. They've fixed them up and they have signs all of them say, keep off these, right? But there's some of them that are still in their original condition. They don't have signs on them. So my family and I really like to explore those a little bit. And one thing that you may not know, I didn't know this until I was there, George Washington chose that location for a very strategic reason. There's a very gentle sloping hill that runs all the way to Philadelphia. And the British had taken Philadelphia. And so with the trees not there at the time, he could actually see, with his telescope or whatever, he could see 20 miles all the way to Philadelphia to see if the British were coming. So as we're kind of sitting there and thinking about this, my 12-year-old son gets a stick, like boys will do, and he lays himself down on the earthen bulwarks, and he points at the British. He points at Philadelphia. And I sat there and I thought about that for a little bit. And it occurred to me that 250 years ago, there were 12-year-old and 14-year-old boys at Valley Forge. Roughly some of your ages. Even our children were in that war for freedom. and our children are in the war for Christ today. You see, too soon, you will find yourselves in the war against the spiritual forces of evil, and you need to be ready. Whether it's from the evil in our own hearts, the evil that comes into our lives, the evil that enters through the TV and through the internet from the most unexpected places, you need to be ready because it's coming for you. And I think that that's why you went to school here, to make you ready for it. See, when David went to face the evil giant, he didn't ready himself with the armor of Saul. He said, I can't wear this. He readied himself in the armor of God. In faith, in knowing the truth of who was in control, of knowing the salvation of the Lord, of trusting the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, the word of God that says, I will be your God, and you will be my people, and I will take care of you. He knew the promise of God to protect the people of Israel. And he said that by doing what he was doing, everyone would know that there was a God in Israel. So you've been equipped with God's armor here at this school and by your parents and by your pastors. Now, what will you do with it? What will you do with it? We know what King Saul did with his armor when the giant came. He had all that armor and he hid anyways. King Saul hid. Will you hide? Will you hide from that fight? Or will you put on that armor? You know, if you're going to war, it's wise to have that armor on. Will you wear that armor and draw your sword and charge forward for the cause of Christ? You have been blessed and prepared better than 80% of kids in Wisconsin who don't receive a Christ-centered education every single day. And as the Apostle Luke said, everyone to whom much was given, much will be required. You've been blessed, but because of that, God will expect a lot out of you. So I don't know here how many know who Charlie Kirk is. I say is and not was because we know where he is now. He may have been gunned down by evil, but he made more of an impact for Christ in his 31 years on earth than many people will make by the time they get to 90. And shortly before he died, he was asked how he would like to be remembered. And he said, for the courage of his faith. That's how he wanted to be remembered. For the courage of his faith. Many people think he was all about politics, and certainly he was involved in that, but he spent at least as much time discussing his Christian faith and his politics. I remember him saying, you know, it doesn't matter how many, I'm a big door knocker, obviously politician, I go out and talk to people, right? And he goes, you know, it doesn't matter how many doors you knock on if you don't know Jesus. And Charlie had a favorite biblical theme he liked to talk about, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but your pastor's going to correct me later for how it's actually supposed to be said. But the Hebrew word is hanini. It means, here I am. That was a very special theme for Charlie. It means, here I am. And whether Abraham or Samuel or Isaiah, that was how the people of God responded when the Lord called them. When the angel of the Lord asks, whom shall we send? I pray that in your heart you will say with Isaiah, here I am, Lord, send me. Here, see, I'm literally, see those things on both sides there? See, it's in my presentation here. Let no one look down on your youthfulness, but rather in speech, conduct, love, faith, and purity, show yourself an example of those who believe. And now listen to the promise of God as Joshua was about to enter the Holy Land to wage the Lord's war. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. I will never be strong and courageous. Have I not commanded you? It's a command. It's not just encouragement. It is encouragement, but it's a command too. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So go forth from this place blessed, prepared, and armed for the service of your Lord. Be strong and of good courage, for the Lord is with you.